Today's MMA Tea Company Fighter Spotlight is with Peter Petties. Peter is coming off of a big short notice win on June 4th down there. I believe that was in Kentucky, where he fought at 155. He's telling me that he's going to stay at 155. So, Peter, I know you're looking for fights. You're just staying ready, but do you got anything in the works? You got anything coming up?
Yeah, we're just staying busy. And just a little correction, it was Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville, I'm sorry. Yeah, not Kentucky, Knoxville. All right.
It's all good. It's all good. But no, honestly, just staying ready. As you said, I did take the fight on 2 weeks' notice, but I've been in shape this whole year, almost since October. I've had two teammates who went to back-to-back training camps in Tefan and Chukwi, who's in the UFC, and Sadiq Youssef, and I worked with both of them throughout both of their camps. So I've been kind of, I don't want to say it was short notice because I'm always in camp, let alone just finish 2 UFC camps. So I was just like, come on, give me someone to punch in the face. And the opportunity presented itself and I was able to hop on it. And, it was a good fight. I loved it. It was a great comeback fight. And Knoxville, Tennessee was pretty awesome. I can't lie.
So, you take this short notice fight. We were talking a little bit offline how you used to be a 45er. You took the fight at 55, but your strength and conditioning team, well, not strength and conditioning, your nutrition team pretty much said you're a 55er, stay at 55. So, what was it like, fighting at 55 as opposed to 45? Was it nice not having that extra 10 pounds to cut? Did you feel better in the cage? Talk me through how that felt different.
Yes. So the biggest thing was the weight cut for me. One of the things that I'm very mentally strong. So one of those things where when I was making 45, I was like, oh man, I ain't trying to be no punk, but I definitely feel pretty shitty. Like, I don't want to say if that's how it felt to being close near death. I'm pretty sure I was probably this close. And I'm glad it was confirmed by my nutritionist at the last PFL fight. So going up to 55, it's still not an easy cut for me.
Mm-hmm.
I should say it is realistic. When you cut to 45, I feel like after doing the cuts I was doing, this is easy, but still, if you're not a weight cutter at all, then it's still going to be hard on you. So like even my girlfriend at the time, this was her first experience of watching me weight cut. And she was like, oh gosh. And then Tefon's just in the corner like, man, you haven't seen nothing. He's still talking. He's still joking. He's not dead. And this was me 20 pounds in with a sunken face and everything. So, it's one of those things I know now what my body can take. I know 55 is going to be no hard route. But at the same time, I do think I'm not going to be the biggest 55er, but I do think I'm definitely middle ground. I'm not going to be like a Frankie Edgar 55er by any means.
Yeah, you're not walking in there a natural 55 with no weight cut, but you're not coming down from 200 either.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And the fight that you took with Nick, he was a kind of a hometown guy. I think he was like a 10-2 record or 9-2 or something like that.
Yep.
So was that the kind of matchup that you were looking for to come back, after taking a little time off and through quarantine and everything, where you get to fight this guy that, he's got a lot of steam behind him and he's got a good record and he's a good fighter and you can go in there and really, show people what you've been working on the past year?
Yeah. I think one of the things is I like to put it this way. I'm probably the best, well, now 9-6 fighter in the world. I think my record is very skewed. And what I mean by that is I have fought people back in their hometowns and lost split decisions. And I'm like, I won that. You know what I mean? This was still a split decision. And I'm like, that definitely was unanimous, but I'm not going to argue it. But it's one of those things, you look at that and then you take my last 2 losses in the PFL. If I was to put it in perspective, both of them were both former world champions in a World Series of Fighting. Andre Harrison only has 2 losses. He's 20-2, has beaten a number of current and former UFC fighters. The same with Alexander Almeida. He's fought guys like Lance Palmer. He's a real jiu-jitsu black belt, So I think it's one of those things that I had to remind people, yes, I was on the Contender Series. Yes, I was in a PFL, but I'm not one of those veterans that you're going to make a name off of. if anything, yeah, I firmly believe you either win or you learn. And those losses have only really gotten me better. You know, I've taken my nutrition serious. I've taken my strength training serious. I've taken every aspect of my career serious since then. And I really think, you know, at 30, I'm entering my prime, and it's very scary to think of. You know, I was winning those fights without doing all the right things. And now it's just like, I feel like the sky is the ceiling, and that's not even enough. So I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling really good going into this year and beyond.
And you mentioned something about your strength and conditioning, right? And you are 30, so that people like to talk about how you kind of get your man strength right around like 27, 28, 29. But you had never lifted before, and you were telling me a little bit offline how, you know, you were just going in there, you were training, you know, doing whatever you were doing, but you weren't really lifting weights. So how do you feel now that you've incorporated weight training into your, you know, daily or weekly or monthly, whatever you want to call it, regimen?
I feel great. You know, I think I feel mobile. I never really used to understand why I had so much neck issues, back issues, and I have a good coach down, Jason. He's out of Baltimore Athlete Strength. I think it's Academy or something like that. It's the acronym's BAZA. I always mess it up. But he's been really good about opening my eyes to the functional ability of weightlifting, as well as the mobility and just putting on good muscle. We have a good program. It's like 4 days a week, and it pushes me. And he's customizing it to myself. He does that for all of his athletes. And it's been really good. I've been saying I feel like I can punch through a wall. Sometimes I'm just like calling out heavyweights in the sparring room and 205ers just because I'm like, man, these things are getting strong. These things are getting strong. So, you know, it's one of those things where honestly, I'm just enjoying the whole process. It's a growth thing, and the cool thing is just seeing the progression. And I definitely feel like with the newly added strength and conditioning program, and just firing on all cylinders from nutrition, to just being older and more mature about training, staying in shape year round. As I'm older, I'm fortunate enough to work remote, so I'm able to still train full time and work full time. So money isn't a big stressor. I think a lot of people forget in MMA, you know, when you're up and coming pro, you know, fighting doesn't pay the bills. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you have to find a way to make things work. And back in the day, I used to work in a restaurant on weekends and is still struggling. So now, not really, I don't want to say I'm rich by any means, but I'm well off. I don't have to worry about, are my bills going to get paid? Right now, I'm worrying about how much money I'm losing in the stock market or so on these meme stocks. But you know, those are good problems to have. I have a joke that I tell people: if taxes are your biggest problem, then your life is good. You don't got nothing to complain about, man.
Absolutely. And it seems like for you, you know, life is very good right now. You're coming off that win, you know, you're 30, and that is like what you said. It's some time where, you know, it's really that prime for a lot of guys, especially, you know, the weight class that you're at, the 45, 55, 70 weight class, where you see guys your age, with your record start to break through, right? You start to figure it out. You start to really put your game together along with your strength and conditioning, your diet, all of those things. So, you know, with that being said, uh, how do you feel like you can, you know, continue to improve, or where do you see yourself continuing to improve as you start to climb these ranks now and get into these fights with, you know, these guys that are right on the cusp of the show, whatever that may be, whether it's Bellator, back to PFL, LFA, then the UFC, whatever that may be?
So my big word about coming back off of surgery has just been discipline, man. And I think that's one of the things that I've lacked in a lot of my fights. And what I mean by that is just sticking to the game plan, keeping things simple. Henry Hoof has a nice little saying, keep it simple, stupid. And I think that applies to me in all my losses, you know, where I'll just coast a little bit and I'll, you know, lose split decisions. Whereas right now it's just keeping things simple, doing all the right things, and being disciplined in all aspects of life. You know, I've really never been a question of hard work or talent. So now it's just about firing on all cylinders. And I think that's the biggest thing that's going to make the difference between me going forward and my old self. You know, I don't think skill has ever been a question. It's just been, you know, putting it all together at the right time. So I feel good. hoping to stay busy this year and moving forward, and I'll definitely be hoping to, make that UFC call, if not late this year, early next year for sure.
And putting it all together, a lot of that too, which is something that I think people who are watching the sport, or people who haven't trained or haven't fought, don't realize is how much of it is mental, right? You have to mentally be with it in the gym every day. You have to mentally be ready to fight. And like you said, you might have been coasting, or you might have been, not, I don't know if it's 100% focused or whatever it would have been in the cage. But when I watch you, as opposed to talking to you now, you're a much more violent person in the cage than you are when I'm sitting here talking to you. And, when I watched the highlights of your fight a couple weeks ago, you were out there to, inflict damage and do damage and bring pain to your opponent. Is there a switch you have to flip? Is there something that you have to do? Or is that just, that's part of the sport? That's how I got to be.
No, I think that's what makes my little Joker persona as enigma of myself, because outside of the cage, everyone will tell you I am not the same person. Outside of the cage, I'm the biggest goofball. You hear my voice, everybody's like, I thought your voice was going to be deeper or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm just a big joker. I enjoy life. But in there, it's just, I've always had a competitive nature. I had a hard upbringing as a kid. So I think my sister always says that's how I deal with a lot of my anger issues, is just in the cage, and I know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. Competing has been a big part of my life. When I was able to compete, I grew up a little poor. We weren't able to really put me in any sports, but I always wanted to play sports. My mom unfortunately passed away when I was 12. But my sister took me into her house, and she had just graduated law school. Her husband had just graduated business school. So it gave me a lot more opportunities than I had when I was younger. And I played every sport possible. I did wrestling, lacrosse, as well as football. And then I stuck with wrestling until I started watching UFC, and then it was game over. But, it's just one of those things where, in life, I firmly believe when you have a passion or anything, or just knowing when to turn it off, you got to know when to be assertive and when to turn on that switch and when to turn it off. I'm not out here trying to flex on anybody walking down the street and be like, oh, I'm a big bag fighter. If anything, this is a new job I got. I just transitioned. Nobody knows I fight. I just requested off, and nobody asked why I requested off. And the guy actually punched me in my black eye and busted my lip. I was like, shit, how am I going to explain this on my Zoom meetings? But it actually healed within the next day. So nobody even realized I had a fist fight. But a few people have brought it up. I guess they looked up my name and saw I was a professional fighter. And I was like, yeah, I kind of just do it on the side. But this is one of those things I really want people to judge me as Peter Petties. And when I'm in the cage as Peter the Joker Petties, it's two separate people. And that's how I kind of like to view it as, in there I have to be different and I have to turn on that killer nature. And outside, I'm just a goofball, just trying to enjoy life.
Awesome, man. It seems like, if anything, you're talking about that maturity and that experience over the years has kind of helped you, I guess, build that Joker persona and be able to turn it off, turn it on. And, sitting here talking to you now, I wouldn't know that, that you're a fighter otherwise, if I didn't look you up and know who you were otherwise. So sitting here talking to you is, it's kind of cool to see both sides of it, because watching your fights, I would have no idea.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one thing I always tell people is just, athletes, I think when you're a professional athlete or just in general an athlete, you have a different look on, people judge LeBron or Kobe. Like, man, you don't know him as a person. Like, I was a big Michael Jordan fan growing up, but then the older I got and I hear that Michael Jordan's actually a douche, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I should judge that or really know, because I never met Michael Jordan himself. I firmly believe you should not judge anyone until they're a douche to you. And then you can say, hey, that man's a douche. That guy's an asshole. So, everybody's a little different. You never know if somebody just met him on the off day. You never know what anyone in this world's going through when you meet them. So, you got to give them a sample, serving size, and then make your judgment from there.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. I really, appreciate you coming on today. enjoyed our conversation. I'm really looking forward to you know, getting another fight, multiple fights this year. You said you're staying in shape, so you know, whenever you're in the cage, I'm gonna be excited for that. Before I let you go, just wanted to give you a chance to, you know, shout out anybody who's been helping you out along the way. I know you're coming back from surgery, and you know that was your first fight back, and you got a big support system. So I just want to open up the floor to you.
Ooh, that's a big list. I hope I don't miss anyone. Thank you for everybody who's been in constant support. Man. All right. I'm gonna go down the list and hope that I don't miss anyone. Everybody at Team Lloyd Irvin, Master Lloyd Irvin, for always being supportive of my crazy ideas. My striking coach Jamal Hargrove for just being a mastermind behind striking and all things MMA and just being a student of the game. Huge shout out to my boy Angla Insing, One FC, double title holder at the time, but you know, he's one of those guys. I don't think many people really know this. When I was down and out and in the dumps pandemic wise, he reached out, just randomly called. I actually just got off the phone with him today, just doing a little check-in, catching up. But he called just saying, hey, how's everything going? And I was like, bro, I'm fat, out of shape, and depressed. And he was like, come down to Florida, come train. This is when Maryland gyms were closed and I was coming off surgery and I got cleared, but pandemic had hit. So then I hopped on a plane to Florida, and that little experience helped me get back and say, all right, I got to get back on my shit. So big shout out to and everybody down at Stanford MMA. They have a huge team, you know, Gilbert, Melendez, Kamaru, who's there from time, but huge guys. But you know, everyone who's helped me, my teammates, Tafan and Chufwi, oh man, Sadiq, yeah, a whole long list. But thank you, everybody. You know, it's just the beginning. Happy 2021, and wishing positive vibes on everybody.
Awesome, Peter. Appreciate it again. Wishing positive vibes back to you. Good luck with those meme stocks, and we'll see you. We'll see you soon. See you back in the cage soon.
Thank you. I'll catch you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.